Right. This is sort of an improv video, and I'm sure every video I do is going to be improv, but uh, just kind of thinking about something. All right, this documentary right here, Noah, The Truth is Bigger Than You Thought. The Journey Begins by Trey Smith. So his channel when I first saw this was called God in a Nutshell, but it's just Trey Smith now, and he does a lot of really neat videos. This one is, as you can see, 3.5 hours long. But what this covers is unbelievable. So just kind of proving that, yeah, there definitely was a global flood that took place. You got to watch the whole thing. Actually, the first night I watched it, I got extremely excited and was going to tell my girlfriend in the morning. She's a huge archaeologist, and she kind of humored all my crazy spiritual ideas, but it was as soon as I got to this one, she was very uninterested to hear anything about it. So we got into a big fight, and I think that's when our relationship slowly started to go downhill because she started calling me young Earth creationist and all kinds of negative things. And I was like, sorry for being interested in looking into stuff, but basically what it covers is just how quickly our current world could have been shaped based on the amount of water that is talked about in the Bible, but not just the Bible. All kinds of ancient civilizations. I forget the number, 200 something, maybe more, maybe less, but it was a big number of civilizations that have stories of Noah's Ark. So I found that pretty fascinating. I didn't realize it was anything outside of the Bible at the time. But he kind of goes through some of the fossil records, basically how something quickly happened to the earth, which is what put the, bones under the ground so quickly anyways. So we have one version of the story where, millions and millions of years have passed, and then this version of the story where it's a cataclysmic event happened so quickly that it was just able to bury so much. And he kind of goes through and gives a different example, but the ancient world or the prehistoric world or whatever you want to call it, everything had a potential to grow so much bigger. You find fossils of, dragonflies, I think to do like a penguin or an eagle skull, different plants, and they just show that the potential for these things to grow in the old world or the pre-flood world was so much greater than today for whatever reason. Personally, I think it has to do with oxygen content. And another thing you can look into if you want, and I kind of made a little small videos, kind of just a parody video for fun, but just talking about like Devil's Tower or the different giant structures that exist on the planet that resemble tree stumps. It requires a little bit of imagination, but when you see some of the side-by-sides of a tree stump of how we see now, and then you look at like Devil's Tower, that's a pretty interesting structure to just explode out of the earth and not be colored similar to anything around it. It's just like a big looking, solidified tree stump. It looks like something just whoosh, cut it down. So I think it was theorized that, had it been a tree or was it a tree, just based on, I might be mixing something up, but just like miles and miles and miles into the sky. So the oxygen content would have been a lot higher back then, which everything would have grown to the potential of the environment, the oxygen content that existed, if that makes sense. But anyway, so I went ahead and pulled that up. You watch that if you got time. Highly recommend. What's this? Let's see. Okay. No more subscribing. Well, I lost that page. Anyway, we're going to X out of this. There's not too much we have to look at here. The solar flash. Something else I was going to talk about. You may as well just look at this. Now, this is Wikipedia. So this page is list of flood myths. Okay, and as you can see right here, we got Africa, Americans, North, South, Mesoamerica, Inca, all these guys. I'm sure I've heard of them. I'm not well versed in ancient tribes or anything, but Asia, let's see, Europe, Oceania. Okay. So, I mean, we can go ahead and look down here. I think there's some that are directly written on this page, but if not, I'll kind of click around a little bit and we'll see some of the similarities. So obviously, we got Noah's Ark. That's the one everybody kind of knows, or at least you've heard of it. Let's see, let's do Iran real quick. The Videv dad mentions that Ayura Mazda warns Yima that there will come a harsh winter storm followed by melted snow. Ahura advises Yima to construct a Vera. This is to populate with the fittest of men and women, and with 2 of every animal, bird and plant, and supply the food and water gathered the previous summer. Norbert Otij, I'm terrible with these names, argues that the story of Yima and Vera was originally a flood myth, and the harsh winter was added in due to the dry nature of eastern Iran, as floods didn't have as much of an effect as harsh winters. He argues that Vivdad 2.24's mentions of melting water follow. I mean, it could have been melting water too. I'm very into, the idea of reptilians and our unknown ancient past. So I've got all kinds of theories and things, and I used to deal with a lot of like crazy visions and things. I was real big 12, 21, 12 head, so I thought the world was going to end. So I just did as much research as humanly possible all of 2012 and came up with a lot of theories. And, here we are 9 years later and, still alive, I think. Feels like it's dragging on for a long time, but, I'm still discovering new stuff. I hadn't even considered the flood back then. Look at this guy. What on earth? Okay. Korea, Philippines. Once upon a time, when the world was flat and there were no mountains, there lived 2 brothers, sons of Lumaweg, the Great Spirit. The brothers were fond of hunting, and since no mountains had formed, there was no place to catch wild pig and deer. And the older brother said, "Let us cause water to flow all over the world and cover it, and then mountains will rise up." Whoa. So we got the cause of the flood right here. These 2 brothers who couldn't hunt, so they figured let's just flood the earth. All right, let's see though. Let's go someplace like, China. Great Flood, China. See what they got to say. The Great Flood of Gunyi, also known as Gunyi myth, was a major flood event in ancient China that allegedly continued for at least 2 generations, which resulted in great population displacement, among other disasters such as storms and famine. You can imagine. People left their homes to live in high hills and mounts or nests on the trees. According to mythological and historical sources, it is traditionally dated to the 3rd millennium BCE, or about 2300, 2200 BC, during the reign of Emperor Yao. However, archaeological evidence of an outburst flood on the Yellow River compared to similar severe events in the world in the past 10,000 years has been dated to about 1900 BC, a few centuries later than the traditional beginning of the Ji dynasty. Sorry if I'm pronouncing this stuff wrong, I'm doing my best. Which came after Emperors Shun and Yao, and is suggested to have been the basis for the mist. Treated either historically or mythologically, the Great Flood, and the heroic attempts of various human characters to control it. Let's see, where does it say about, overview of the floods, disaster, divulge. Just trying to see, because I know there's a part where flood begins. It was during the reign of Emperor Yao that the Great Flood began. A flood so vast that no part of Yao's territory was spared. Part of the Yellow River Valley alleged the nature of the flood is shown in the following quote. Like endless boiling water, the flood is pouring forth destruction, boundless and overwhelming. It overtops hills and mountains, rising and ever rising. It threatens the very heavens. How the people must be groaning and suffering. Yeah, no kidding. So a lot of people say the earth was really corrupt at that time, though, so it was almost like really no choice but to kind of flood it out. Points, guns, efforts, shining power, axe. I mean, this is a lot. Controls the flood. I don't know where it is on here, but a lot of them are talking about basically a boat. A boat or some sort of vessel that was created. Let's see. Legend appears for the detailed incarnation for orders. Grains of the world in a boat. Let's see. What's a human about an impending catastrophe of floods in order to collect the grains of the world in a boat. In some forms of the story, all living creatures are also to be preserved in the boat. And the flood destroys the world. Manu, in some versions, accompanied by 7 great sages, survives by boarding the ark, which Matsya pulls to safety. Let's see. Norbert argues that the story originally was about Yama, but that he was replaced by his brother Manu due to the social context. All right. Created God and a religion of Indians inhabits since a devastating flood to punish people who have forgotten his commands. Only 4 people survived the flood. So that's in India. Korea. Let's see. There are 2 types of written traditions, mostly founding monarchies. Well, I know I'm not doing such a great job kind of presenting all this, but I highly recommend watching this if you get a moment and just keeping an open mind with it and then kind of doing your own research afterwards. But there is a lot of dots that get connected in this. And if you're interested in kind of understanding what got us to this point as a species anyways, just the fact that this global account that's in all these ancient, I guess, writings or stories or whatever, myths, why those are left out of our history books, there's a huge gap when you think about how they teach history nowadays. They kind of go from like dinosaurs, and then they, just throw millions of years in there. And then here we are today. And then we evolved from monkeys, and then your mind just sort of fills in all the gap because you're reading it in the book and you just assume that that's where you go from there. And, I wonder about these things because if we don't know where we came from, there's no way to know where we're going. And that the saying is, he who controls the present controls the past, and he who controls the past controls the future. So they're basically going to take us on a wild ride to wherever, they want us to. And when I say they, we'll just call it the powers that be. Some people call it the Illuminati, the deep state, the cabal. They're like, you can look into it, but, from my understanding, they are satanic, Luciferian weirdos. They go research Bohemian Grove, just kind of get an understanding of, like, the world we live in now, and just understanding the ancient past anyways, even what they do teach us, depending on how accurate it is, you can still look at it and realize that, civilizations have been rising and falling since as far back as we understand, and it's always has a lot to do with corruption from within. Has a lot to do with the power structure colluding with an opposing power structure and then causing war and the fall of Rome. That's basically what was going on. So a country cannot survive treason from within. And we're dealing with a lot of that right now. But I don't think we're going to fall, and I don't think we have too much to worry about. But, I do think we're still in for a lot more surprises than anything we've really seen up until this point. The future is very mysterious. I spent a lot of time focused on dates and focused on trying to understand the next step. I was a big follower of the Q movement. Not that I don't think that it had its truth embedded within it, but I mean, something like that is definitely easy to control. And then, not only that, but you got to understand that if you're one of these individuals that is trying to put dates on everything, or, this is going to happen at this time, or that's what this post is talking about, or whatever, if you know that, then the enemy would know that. And part of this whole, sting operation that apparently has taken place to capture the deep state, it's being executed exactly and precisely how it's supposed to. But we on the ground level who want to know what's going on are sort of let down, and it's really easy to feel like nothing is happening. I followed dates all the way up until, what day was that? September 23rd, 2017. I think that was the last date I ever put any stake in. And then after that, I said, I'm done. I don't know what's going to happen, but we're in 2017. The world didn't end on December 21st. And I kept up in the bar like, oh, no, it's going to be March 2013, and 2014, and at the end of the blood moons. And so drive yourself crazy. So honestly, what I think the most important thing is we're not really supposed to be thinking about the future anyways. It's cool to research the past. We're not supposed to lock too much into our minds. I think that this is a time where we're supposed to be clearing ourselves out. We're supposed to be living as righteously as we can and trying not to get too lost in thought. Because the moment we kind of go down that path, we're using our minds inappropriately. Get out of here. There's always a threat. I just got this computer fixed because there was non-stop threats hitting my computer, but apparently it was just a bad memory card. So luckily my warranty had like 5 days left, and I called them. Do not endorse drinking that. But I'm a caffeine head. I quit drinking alcohol 16 months ago, and so I got addicted to something else, and go figure. All right. So, I don't want to get too far off topic here, but since we're kind of talking about it, incredible power of being centered. I just kind of conclude it with whatever this is. I am centered. I am balanced. I am at peace. So I've been doing a little bit more of these positive affirmations. I've been kind of a grump, I'm jaded. I'm bitter, I've been let down. We all have. Try not to focus on all that anymore, though, because I can't do anything with being so angry about the past. And being confused about the future, too, like where we're going. Kind of letting these things go. But I've been doing a lot with hypnosis recently just to help myself. Listen to positive affirmation hypnosis, wealth generation hypnosis, and, it works. I'm not saying millions of dollars drop into your lap, but you're just more open to opportunity. Then you find out it's also looking for you, so when you least expect it, something might pop out, and if you kind of practice the whole yes man philosophy, you just go for it, because why not? Especially if you got the time. And I do have the time. All right, before you read this article, I want to emphasize just how much this one slight shift in my mindset has changed my life over the past few months. Being centered is not just a fad, it's a way of life. I literally mean it when I say that miracles will begin to happen when you adopt this strategy and way of thinking. When I say miracles, I'm not talking about mystical stuff. I'm talking about real, tangible results you will see happen firsthand in your life. Welcome to the power of being centered. Before continuing, put aside any notion of identity, religion, caste, beliefs, etc., and follow these words without any preconceived ideas. Why? because this concept is beyond any religious identity. It's for anyone and everyone to try. So what is being centered? The concept of being centered is nothing new by any means. However, it's still a little-known idea that very few people practice. Imagine a tightrope walker walking along his tightrope. Her. Let's see. She has one of those poles to keep her balance. The pole tips to one side, and she along with it. Somehow she manages to recover. She uses the balance pole to regain her composure and return to the perfect place to navigate the tightrope. Centering is finding that space in the middle between hope and disappointment. That's a good way to put it. Between happiness and sadness. So just apathy. Blech. Between desire and, well, there's apathy. Between good and bad, and using the right kind of thoughts that help you remain in that special sanctuary of equilibrium. Positive and negative. Let's see. It's about finding increasingly serene balance. And believe me when I say that when you find that place, you'll feel at peace, calm and relaxed, that very little, if anything, will be able to faze you. Being centered is about understanding that every event is a combination of good and bad. It's about aligning with part of your being that is beyond temporary elation or feeling, or being fazed by the negative or positive energies of others. Especially if you're like an empathic person. I don't know if that's like the only word for it, but I know one thing I struggle with is just picking up everybody else's thoughts, and I just get crippled. And I can't do anything with that. It's like, oh, what a gift. I'll just be in putty mind forever because I can't block this stuff out. I've never really subscribed to the notion of being positive or over negative, or that being positive is any better than being negative, or that you have to have a PMA. I don't even know what that means. PMA, positive, I don't know. Positive and negative are two sides of the same coin. I've known positive people who show people on the outside how positive they are, but when you take a closer look, you see just how much they are suffering because they suppress their negativity. Oh man, that's what I say. I'm pissed off at a lot of stuff, and I think a lot of people walk around sort of like the New Age movement, and when everybody walk around with these big smiles on their face, oh, don't mess around with the negative. He just needs to stay. He's got to stay positive all the time. Oh, positive vibes, positive. But you can't suppress the fact that you actually have a built-in, it's like your darkness, like dancing with your shadow type stuff. I've always found that when I become very angry about a situation, that's when I take action. But if I try to block it out and pretend like I'm happy with it, it just makes me very passive and keep accepting the negative, the true negative, but trying to smile about it. Like, this is awesome. You say be happy with what you have, but, if you just walk around smiling all the time and just, whatever happens, happens, I'm just going to smile about it and never get upset. It's really hard to, I'm just speaking personally. I don't even know if this is how everybody operates. My brain's so spastic. Let's see, positive, negative, changes. Yeah, more focused, relaxed. Just don't chase things. Things are chasing me. It's a big one right there. It's sort of like law of attraction type stuff. If you put it out there and you feel within your being the success you want to achieve before you achieve it, that feeling is magnetic, and it will bring things into your life to hold on to that feeling. So, I used to do a lot of research on affiliate marketing, and I still kind of dabble in the idea. I haven't really found my niche yet because I know a lot of people are just like kind of taking advantage of people. I don't think they're scams, but you have to be really money hungry to follow through with some of the courses that are being provided. But I think you pronounce it Kala Kanai, something like that. But he basically said he was working at a coffee shop and was barely able to buy his girlfriend a gift and on her birthday, and but he kept telling himself, "I'm a multi-millionaire online marketer." You keep telling yourself what you are, and then that is looking for you at that point because it has to match how you feel about yourself truly within. Your reality will start to shift to pull that into your life to match the frequency that you're putting out. So, and be open for like a lot of different things too. So if don't be so specific with what you're looking for, but just feel within yourself success and money and whatever. And it's looking for you. So that's really cool. People have begun treating me differently for the better. Okay, so I understand that we broadcast a frequency, and the way we feel about ourselves is giving others permission on how to treat us. So we don't realize we're doing it, but if we're feeling really down on ourselves or we're kind of focused on our insecurities or whatever, people will pick up on that at a subconscious level because it's all we are is frequency. We're always sending off signals. So if you start to feel better and more calm and gentle and professional or whatever within yourself in the moment, you will notice that the way people interact with you will be totally different. I've attracted things and circumstances more easily because you're more receptive. So you're allowing it to enter in. You're not resistant anymore. You're not wanting things to be one specific way. You're pulling in the way you feel. You feel good. Let's see. More in tune with what I really want. There you go. Brush away the confusion. Realize there's a lot that you think you want, but you don't need. Or maybe you need it, but when the time is right, divine timing, we'll call it that. Sleep much more soundly. Can imagine weight loss. Certainly. My nonconformity makes people more attracted to me. Stop wearing your frickin' masks. Stop it. I've been doing that a lot more. Going out, there's very few places where I walk around, but my nose never goes in my mask if I wear it at all. And I realize if you just walk around smiling and enjoying yourself, and people are sort of attracted to that, and they want it. They're like, why can't I walk around and do that? Why do I need to wear this mask and feel like I need to get in line? Well, they want to freak you out. All right, so how do you center yourself? I will be expanding on this topic greatly over the coming months. When was this even written? By question mark. By dot. So over the coming months, I don't know how much, no matter the outcome. I didn't mean to get so far off topic there. That's something you're going to have to deal with on the Pruny Wisdom page. Kind of a washed up mental case, I guess. So kind of base a lot of what I know on what I've experienced in the past. And, I woke up to a lot of things in 2012, maybe 2011, a little bit prior to that. I don't want to talk about it right now. But woke up from it and realized a lot more. And, yeah, I suppose we'll just leave it at that. Go research Noah's flood if you're interested in learning more. Not sure the shape of the earth, but I have a lot of doubt that we have been given accurate information on what this earth is. I'm pretty sure they're trying to hide something. At least they're trying to hide your greatness. You are fantastic, and you are perfect, and you are worthy, and you will succeed. You will rise. Rise to the top because you must. Oh, it looks like there's a ghost behind me. That is hyper creepy. I don't understand why it's doing that. Yeah, that's my shadow for my candle. All right. Much love. Peace out. End this recording.